Oh yeah. Welcome back, fellow hobby enjoyers, to a very special, I suppose, holiday hobby hang. I had a bit of free time in between the evening festivities, and now I thought I'd get a quick hobby stream in. Eric Brandenburg, Merry Christmas to you as well. We're going to continue the GSC kill team. We got a Seismic cannon, kind of a fun special weapon, if I'm being honest. Pretty unique across the weapons of the 40k universe. So we're gonna paint up this guy, and he would be number 4. He will be kill team member number 4. You got a fresh and clean wet palette here, which I'm pretty pumped about. Thought I'd treat myself, honestly. So we'll start with our haphazard primer application. Maybe do an extra guy with a bit of prime, since it does take some time to dry. Maybe I'll prep that. Actually, I want to remove his gun, because it's... Look, I know these are just fodder guys in 40k, but in Kill Team, these are elite operatives, and the heavy weapon guys are extra special. So I want to sub-assembly him. There we go, that should do. I guess we could glue this on, that should be safe. That should be safe. Okay, so we'll get the plastic glue going. I'm gonna huff some plastic glue. Well, we're only doing a bit of gluing, right? So hopefully the fumes are... Oh, that's actually really strong. Hopefully the fumes don't get out of control. Okay, there's our guy. His backpack is fixed. We should be good to start priming. Probably won't have time to go the full 2 hours. Well, what am I saying? Usually it's pretty fly by the seat of my pants with regards to stream schedule and stream runtime, so. But what I mean to say is, I don't think we'll be even hitting 2 hours today. Probably an hour and a half, honestly. It's a bit of a quick hobby hang. Gotta get your hobby time in where you can over the holidays, you know. Quite the detailed pack on this guy. Is that like an LCD display? I wonder if there's anything fun to freehand on that. We'll probably need 2 coats, and since this still has to dry, let's just get some more going. Misfit, welcome to the stream. How are you this holiday evening, or I guess afternoon? We're gonna do some quick hobbying today. That is the plan. That is the plan. All right, let's while that dries, we'll continue priming this goober from last time, which looks like he just received one coat of primer while someone else was drawing, likely. I think there's one other autogun cultist after this guy. There's 3 autoguns, 3 shotguns, and 1 of each special and heavy weapon. I think that's how the kit worked out. And then there was an icon bearer and a sergeant, or I don't know, foreman. I don't know what to call him. The leader. The leader of the mining crew. Icarus, welcome to the stream. Happy holidays, everybody. Merry Christmas. Hope everyone's in a festive mood. Misfit says, I'm good. I received my new Tau today that I told myself I would not be buying. Well, the gift to yourself that you said you wouldn't get. Like, sometimes you gotta treat yourself, though. All right. I won't lie to you guys. This made-to-order Sector Imperialis has me tempted. But I'm wondering if you're gonna buy probably 3 GW terrain kits, you might as well buy a 3D printer at that point. I wonder if that's how it breaks down. Right, because those terrain kits are like what, like $90 a pop usually, something like that. I think they were $90 back in 8th edition when they came out. So now they'll probably sell it for even more, and it's limited time availability, right? So all the more reason to bump up the prices. So we'll see what they are. I think they're available for pre-order tomorrow, but I might end up saying no thanks, and might as well get a 3D printer at that point. I love the idea of a kill zone. I've always liked the idea of this on a full-scale 40k table, but it's when I explain what it is, you'll see it's not as feasible. It's much more feasible in Killzone, or in Kill Team. But I like the idea of a kill zone, or a battlescape, let's say, that takes place within a ruined Imperial structure. So that you'd have like these walled sections and columns running through it. You know, pews, the church pews, you know. It doesn't have to be pews. I guess it could be any kind of structure. It doesn't have to be a temple. But I love the idea of a walled, ruined structure that you're fighting within. I think that is just the coolest. You can probably still use all the same scatter terrain you would use. Your rubble, your statues, barrels, crates, all that stuff. Flight of Icarus says, whenever I think about Genestealer cults, I think about the meme scenario where a Chaos cult gets into a gang war with a Genestealer cult and neither of them ever manage to launch their uprising. Oh boy. It's all about perfectly planning. Each cult is trying to outplan the rival gang. Eric Brandenburg says, I want to amend my wish of Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to everyone who isn't a Tau player. Oh, the audacity. Personally, I think people enjoy hating on the Tau a bit too much, but I think it's part of the meme culture. I think generally it's in good fun. I'd like to believe anyways. I think the Tau are important. You need that contrast. Misfit says, I have nearly finished my eBay Rescue Tau Riptide. Finished after fixing it up. Oh yeah, you dropped it, right, Misfit? If memory serves, you dropped it. And Misfit says, that's okay, I also play Dark Angel and Gene Stealer Cults. True! Icarus says, fun fact, you can field Krieg Guardsman Infantry in batches of 20. And they're battle lines, so you can field 6 of them. That's 120 Guardsmen, which cost $780 by GW prices. Yikes! Yeah. Is it by design? Maybe. Maybe. Okay, I think this dude is pretty much ready for some real paint. So we can get on to the best part of the hobby process. Much more fun than priming models. Yes. I think he's ready. This guy's a bit more mutated than the other cultists we've done, and I always had the idea to paint the skin a bit more like the High Fleet Gengar Tyranid skin, so like a off-black, purple, dark black kind of color. A dark gray. So we'll try and emulate that on his head, and I guess his arms are exposed, eh? Look at this. He's got his Gene Stealer sleeves rolled up. So those would have to be painted Tyranid carapace. Interesting. I wonder if there's a way I can mount this so it's easier to paint, maybe? Something like this, would that work? Maybe. We'll see. We'll see what we can do. Okay, we're gonna open up the plastic glue. Hold your breath, guys. Okay, we'll let that seismic cannon sit for a bit. And we'll begin painting the skin color with London Gray mixed in with some of our black primer, because you want it to be fairly dark. Eric Brandenburg says, no, I know a Tau player who is awful. Flops dice onto 6s, scoops his dice before opponents can accurately see results, and he conveniently forgets how rules work. Well, look, that sounds just like a bastard man. It doesn't sound like... I wouldn't attribute that just to Tau players in general, right? Yeah, try to avoid the stereotyping where we can. I try to, anyways. Right, there does seem to be a thing with Space Wolves players, though. Not all Space Wolves players, you know, I'm sure some are perfectly great people. But my internet research has confirmed that it's not the character the characteristics, the negative characteristic qualities that are associated with Space Wolf players seems to extend beyond my personal experiences, which is interesting. It's a bit bizarre, honestly. I was baffled when I first learned this. This is a not uncommon occurrence. What's that about? I don't know. It must be some deep-rooted appeal of themes and characteristics that draw certain personality types towards certain armies. I don't know. I don't have too many. I have two regular Tau players in my local play group, and they're both good dudes. But they both play other armies, so maybe that offsets the tendencies. That is possible. I feel if we all put our heads together, we can get to the bottom of this. Misfit says, some Space Wolf players, I assume, are good people. Yep. I feel similar. Flight of Icarus says, when I see my opponent taking out their third Kiluxus assassin against my Thousand Suns. Yep. Look, this is why allies are bad, okay? Especially when you can sideboard in whatever allies you need. I have the perfect assassin for this exact situation. I'll just swap it for my other assassin at no detriment to myself. It's one of these why must I hate situations. Okay, so cloth fabrics are going to be gray as well. Probably just pure London gray. Probably. Oh, we could probably switch to a different brush at this point. Well, we're going to paint over, so it's not necessary at this stage. We got his gray pantaloons and probably the sleeves of his shirt. But those, I don't know if this is ready yet. Maybe we'll try to delicately put the primer on its skin, if you know what I'm saying. We'll see. We'll see if it's possible, or if it'll crumble under my strength. Yeah, Seismic Cannon is definitely a weapon I'm going to need some reference for. Like, what's the best way to divide the components for maximum visual interest? Like, how do we best enhance the readability, right? Eric Brandenburg asks, a lot of snow up there at what the 40K? Not too much. Like, it's barely a white Christmas. Just like a thin layer of snow where I'm at. Which is, look, I prefer it. I definitely prefer a barely white Christmas than a green Christmas, let's say. Just doesn't hit the same, you know? Eric Brandenburg says, like, it's all but impossible to find hobbyists who have anecdotal evidence of a jerk orc player. This is true. I think I was mentioning it on a previous stream. Yeah, there's something about orc players that's like good-natured fun. I have yet to find a try-hard power gaming orc player. Again, it's like the certain factions attract certain personality types. It's fascinating. I need to ask Maka if it's the same in Horus Heresy. If it's less obvious because they're all Marines, or maybe it's the same. Okay, look, so the plastic glue held true. The plan was a success. Love it. And like, it's mostly primed. Like, there's some missing spots, but I think we're mostly good to go. Flight of Vicar says, I mean, they're the mongrel sons of Russ. Can we expect quality? How harsh, Icarus, how harsh. There are no wolves on Fenris. The no wolves on Fenris is an interesting design choice. Here's a question. A deep lore question. Was the suggestion that space wolves devolve into wolves, i.e. no wolves in Fenris, which seems to me to be an analog to the flesh change, just to make them foil each other more interestingly and with more hypocrisy, right, between them and the Thousand Sons? Was that always the case, or was that inserted during the Horus Heresy novel series? Because I'm not sure if it was always in the background fluff of the wolves or not. Eric Brandenburg says, well, let's take a moment to laugh at all the Aussies who are enduring record heat waves. Yeah, I mean, I know some people hate cold weather. I probably don't hate as much as some. It definitely can be rather rather scathing, the cold weather, but I think for brief moments it adds a kind of coziness to the holiday season, especially when you're with family and it's cold outside and you know they got the fireplace going, the family is all together for Christmas. There's a wholesomeness that I think the cold weather adds. Eric Brandenburg says, I base my theory on factions attracting personality types on the basis of people choosing based on this looks fun, or I can win with this, or I can cheese my opponent to death. Interesting. There's probably some truth to that, Eric. Probably some truth to that one. What's that dark gray skin tone might be good enough. Because if I'm honest with you guys, the Gengar skin is largely carried by the wash. I don't, it's not especially fancy. We can maybe do a bit of pre-shading, but it's probably not necessary. I mean, most people will be looking at the cannon, and he's got this cool visor, which you'd probably paint like an eye-catching, glowy color like a turquoise or green. Probably turquoise would look best. Go for it painting. Welcome to the stream. Hello and Merry Christmas to you as well. Here to some holiday cheer. I'm enjoying some delicious nog, some festive beverage. I'm not usually one to enjoy sweet drinks, but I'll make an exception for the holiday season. You know, before this skin color dries up, let's apply this down. Gotta give him that Gengar skin. I don't think I painted a Gene Stealer, a regular Gene Stealer in the Gengar color scheme. Though if I'm being honest, benefits of hindsight, probably a more thematic pick for the Hive Fleet than your typical like warriors and gaunts and gants. Right, because Gene Stealers are more of a creepy archetype, right? They kind of posture themselves like Gengar anyways. And I think thematic, like inherently, they're more creepy because they're like an abomination of the human form, right? Or maybe not. Maybe they're just... I'm not sure what came first, the Gene Stealer or the... What comes first, the Broodlord or the Gene Stealer? I don't know. My point is, Gene Stealers are more thematically appropriate for Hive Fleet Gengar than probably warriors, despite how I built the army initially. I think you'd want to lean into your creepy archetypes, your Lictors, your Gene Stealers. I do think Von Ryan Reapers are very cool. Icarus says, I'm sure my Thousand Suns bias isn't clouding my judgment. At least you're aware of your bias, Icarus. That's how you know you're an enlightened individual. Just point out your own bias so other people can't point it out. That is the best defense. Eric Brandenburg says, I always interpreted Wolfen as a defense of sorts against warp exposure. I'm pretty sure that's the case. I think that's a thing. I feel like someone told me that once. Yeah, I think this seismic cannon's going to look real good once this guy's done, because there's quite a large amount of what appears to be like weapon casing on it. And I think given the white weapon casings of the scheme, it should... all those details will pop, because that's what white armor does. Icarus says Von Ryan's Leapers are such an odd sidetrack in the naming convention. I 100% agree. I believe the name is pulled from ancient lore. And that's why GW leaned into it for the member berries. Excuse me, for the member berries. But I agree. I would much prefer the naming convention of like the odd. What would you even describe it as? Related to digestive systems is often the case. That might only be some though. It might be a bit all over the place, honestly. It's like a biologist found the Von Ryans, or found the Leapers, and he got to name them because he discovered them. It gives me that sort of impression. Okay, we'll put our Gengar skin wash on next. Which is one of these purple washes. It appears as if my washes have been misplaced. I can't believe I've done this. My God. I think this is the pure Druchii Violet, and I should have one mixed down somewhere. Well, I sincerely wish you all don't find yourself in this situation. Well, we'll have to mix our way there then, manually. Alrighty. Eric Brandenburg says, what the 40k? GW is leaving money on the table. What hobbyist wouldn't want a rubric marine salt and pepper shaker set? I honestly couldn't tell you, Eric Brandenburg. I honestly couldn't tell you. A rubric marine salt and pepper shaker. There must be a different pairing you could use. A pairing that's more emblematic of the duality of salt and pepper. Okay, this is probably a close enough approximate to the Gengar skin wash. And then once I apply it, I will catch up with chat. Yeah, that's looking close. Looking close. As per usual, I mixed way more than I needed, but that is the cost. That is the cost of misplacing the pre-mixed pot. So I'll wear it. It is my penance. It is my cross to bear. Icar says, I use a lot of different colored washes, which I don't see a lot of other people using. I used red tone on the wings of my Vespids just recently. It seems like people mostly only use brown or black washes. Nice. I didn't see your Vespid wings. I know you posted an earlier whip of your Vespids, which I did see on the Discord, Icarus. So maybe if I remember, I'll take a look through the Manufactorum, if you happen to have posted there. But yeah, I highly recommend having different colored washes. I think it adds awesome tonal variety in the recesses, right? Like, contrast will give a more broad application of your, like a more glaze application of the color you're trying to add in, but yeah, colored washes can definitely add that higher, ironically, higher areas of contrast, because you have all your saturation and shade sitting in the recesses. Okay, next we have our boots, I guess, the armor, right? The ribbed section of this padded industrial armor. And for those areas, I have discovered a new process called contrast paint. It's much faster and good enough. So I'll be using Gray Sear for the armor pads. Not the purple torso and shoulder armor, but just for the ribbed padded looking armor. And the boots. Can't forget the all important boots. Yeah, this will definitely take probably 2 coats. Kind of want the white, this Gray Sear, to be as potent, as solid of a coat as possible, because the black contrast is just oppressive. It is potent. What time are we at? Oh, we're pretty good for time. Probably about halfway through. What's the verdict? Should we look at the Space Wolves detachment, or should we look at a different one? I did miss the last few streams. Oh yeah, I missed them because I released a battle report. Go and check it out if you want to see a cool kill team thematic bat rep. It's a humble little engagement between Orc Commandos, the ones I painted on stream, and the Dark Angels. Really, it sort of turned out as a test beta of sorts for the format in adapting it to the kill team scale. So there are some refinements that could come from future bat reps. So in that sense, it's a sort of an exercise. I still think it turned out pretty neat. Eric says good enough is heresy. I like the new Black Templars detachment. Yes, that was one of the ones that came out where I did not stream. What's the skinny on the Black Templars? Oh, Space Wolves came out today. I perused it. Let me open up my tabs here. Champions of Fenris, and what else do we have? Wrathful Procession. We'll take a look at those two back to back. Pretty quick. Might not do a whole thorough read through like I usually do. But maybe we can take a hobby break in a little bit. Look, the Gray Seer's almost all used up on the palette. Yeah, we're definitely gonna need some more. Alright. Let us take a look at these later two detachments. There we go. Perfect. Perfect. The Champions of Fenris. The Great Wolf Watches is the detachment rule. At the end of your opponent's charge phase, each adapted starts infantry and walker unit from your army that is within 3 inches of one or more enemy units that would be eligible to declare a charge against one or more of those units can declare a charge against one or more of those units, and you resolve that charge as if it were your charge phase. If that charge is successful, your unit does not receive any charge bonus. So it's like a free heroic intervention, if my understanding is correct, if you're within 3 inches of an enemy unit that charged. Which is, look, it's not as easy to leverage, and people could consolidate into you, or not consolidate, but position extra models in their charge to engage you, possibly. But there's utility in there. Like a savvy melee player could definitely leverage this. It is a detachment rule that only affects one phase, and it's only one player's phase. Right? Not both players' charge phase, just your... Well, you have the second part here that says Terminator units get +1 OC when not battle shocked. So that's a little something. A little feather in your cap. I think even though it's just one phase for one player, this is a potentially, in the hands of a savvy player, I think a potentially strong exception to have. If you have your positioning on point and have the right units where they should be, you can really punish people for charging you. Right, your walkers, like your Bjorns, could use this, I'm assuming. Your other Space Wolves Dreads. Very cool. Very cool. Captain Poseidon, welcome to the stream. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. We took a break from hobbying. Just thought I'd take a look at these. The detachment of the day. Maybe do a quick overview and jump over to Black Templars and take a look too, because I didn't stream for the last few Grotmas detachments. We have Wolf's Wisdom. That boosts the range to 6 inches. So look, twice as good. 30 points, you're twice as good at doing this baby heroic intervention. 30 points is expensive, but I think that only further supports my position that this is a potent exception. And now you're doubling the ease at which you can leverage it. 15 points, Foe's Fate. Subtract 1 from Battle Shock test when enemies fall back from the bearer. Or subtract 1 from... They have to take a Desperate Escape test. And if they're Battle Shock, they subtract 1. Okay, I see. Boring. That's a boring one. I don't like it. We have the Fan Groon Pendant. That's how that's pronounced. Fan Groon. Terminators only. The bearer can shoot and declare a charge and turn at which it fell back. Not bad. Not bad, especially if you're throwing yourself into combat on the enemy turn. Then on your turn, you can fall out of combat and do whatever you want. I think that's an important piece to have access to if this is the system you're propagating here. And we have Longstrider. You can reroll charge rolls made for the bearer's unit, which I would assume would play in nicely with the heroic intervention here. It's pretty cool. The Longstrider. Jesus. Such a lame... Fucking Space Wolves, right? Such a lame name for it. You are the Longstrider, because you can charge farther. Okay, whatever. Maybe I'm just a hater. Okay. Prey Taker's Eye. We have... For your infantry units, shooting or fighting, 1 CP, you have sustained or lethal. So you got your dark packs, essentially, for 1 CP, but no mortal wound potential. Flight of Icar says, I believe it's pronounced Thong Rune. Maybe. Armor of Contempt is here. Surprise, surprise. Runes of Claiming. End of your command phase, infantry or walker. Select 1 objective marker that you control. It remains under your control until your opponent's level of control over the objective is greater than yours at the end of a phase. So your sticky objectives with the rephrased version of that function. Interesting choice. I guess they're trying to discourage you from taking intercessors. This is the first company detachment, right, for them? I'm assuming it is. Champions of Fenris sounds like first company. And you have Terminators being encouraged. Okay, then we have 3 reactive enhancements. That's actually exciting. It's always a trait. We have the Chilling Howl in your opponent's command phase. You pick a Terminator unit from your army. Each enemy unit within 6 inches of your unit must take a Battle Shock test, subtracting 1 from the test at below half strength. Okay, less exciting. I spoke too soon. Chilling Howl makes some Battle Shock. Stalking Wolves in your opponent's shooting phase just after they select attack their targets. You pick an infantry unit that was a target, and they get stealth. I thought it might be a reactive move if it's called Stalking Wolves. Well, stealth isn't bad. You'll use it when it makes sense to spend 1 CP. But less fun than I thought it was going to be. And we have Onrushing Storm. End of your opponent's fight phase. 1 Terminator squad from your army that is not within engagement range of one of your enemy units. Oh, enemy unties. What is this? Completely unplayable, guys. Completely unplayable. Look at this. Disgusting. Remove your unit from the battlefield and place it into... So you're uppy downy for your Terminators. Which is cool, right? It's a useful ability. Useful ability for your deep striking unit. Well, for a unit that would... Terminators are characterized by their ability to deep strike where they want, but with terrible movement, right? So this kind of compensates for that bad movement a little bit, because you can probably get them to another board edge at minimum. Icarus says at least not everything has wolf in the name. That's true. Well, what's the wolf count look like? We have 1 for stalking wolves. Chilling Howl, that's like 0.5, right? It's 0.5. So we have 2.5 up there with Wolf's Wisdom. Good 3.5, Great Wolf Wise. It's not terrible, okay? It's not the worst. Not the worst. Let's take a look at Black Templars real quick. Real quick. Wrathful Procession. So this is about being angry, I guess. Templars excel at heavy infantry shock assaults. These talents prove especially effective when fighting battles where armored support is limited or the terrain is too dense to deploy heavier assets. I feel like people were doing infantry spam with the initial detachment anyways. But I guess this could be maybe more catered to that. Okay, detachment rule is Zealous Litanies. At the start of the battle round, you can select one of the litanies listed below. If you do until the end of the battle round, that litany is active, and its effects apply to all infantry and mounted units only. You have a Chorus of the Relentless Hate. Add 2 to movement characteristic, and 1 to advance rolls made for it. Rite of Perfervid Wrath. Add 1 to the strength characteristic of melee weapons. That's really good. And Chant of Deathless Devotion. 5 up invulnerable save against ranged attack. There it is. Again. Only ranged attacks. So look, it's not just like the value of having a demonic invulnerable save across the board, but still. I feel conflicted. Because often it just feels like Black Templars are gifted with the most defensive chapter tactic style rules compared to the hardier chapters typically, like Iron Hands or Salamanders. They have some hardy perks usually. Like the army-wide Feel No Pain in the previous attachment. I guess that is the joy of being a special Snowflake chapter. Anyways, enhancements. You have Pyrebrand, 25 points. The models in the Bears unit have Stealth. Sacred Rage, 30 points. Once per battle, at the start of the fight phase, the bearer can use this enhancement. If it does, until the end of the phase, it has fights first. Amazing. Even if it's once per battle, awesome. Makes sense why it's 30 points. Taramon's Censor, 15 points at the start of the fight phase. Each enemy unit within engagement range of the bear's unit must take a battle shock test. When doing so, subtract 1 from the result. Boring! That's your boring alert here for this detachment. And Benediction of Fury, 10 points. Nice to see that here. Chaplain only, bear's melee weapons gain devastating wounds. Not terrible. You know, Assault Intercessors reroll wound rolls, right? That's scary. Just have them lead those guys, and then you get some pretty reliable devastating wounds. Fredder, welcome to the stream. Merry Christmas. Fredder says, greetings once again. This week I've finally received my mini in the mail. Now I've come to an impasse. I'm having issues with power swords. Being a salamander dude, I'm torn between firebrand or a fire power sword. Neither I've tried to do yet. It's a tough call. I would probably go with whatever would jive better with the aesthetic. If you have darker power armor, or if you have volcanic bases, maybe you don't want your swords to be volcanic. Well, I guess I'd have to see your model, honestly, to know. It's a tough decision. I didn't do too much fiery volcanic effects on my salamander successors. Eric Brandenburg says, biker chappie for the wind. Yeah, you could scoot around, get some devastating wounds in pretty easily. The Outrider's ability is what? Auto advance? It's like the old turbo boost. I don't like it as much as rerolling wounds, unless there's something in the back-end tools here that I've yet to uncover. First stratagem here is Fueled by Wrath. Any phase, when you suffer a mortal wound, that unit gets a 5-up Feel No Pain against mortal wounds. A classic stratagem. But it's for any unit, not just vehicles. Usually you'd have this stratagem on a vehicle unit in older codexes. You have your Armor of Contempt. It still says until the end of the phase, even though it's FAQ'd. I don't know what... I don't know if it's better or worse if they update the wording or not on these. Castigate the Demagogues for a fight phase. 1 CP. A unit from your army that has not been selected to fight, so that's your offensive ability. Melee weapons have precision. That's spicy. That is pretty good. It's a good tool to have as a ace up your sleeve, you know, if you happen to draw your assassinates or a choice opportunity presents itself. You have Brute Fervor. Brute Fervor. 1 CP fight phase. Again, select a unit that hasn't fought, so it's offensive. Until the end of the phase, each tile model in your unit makes an attack, reroll a hit roll of 1, and you can ignore all modifiers to the following. Weapon skill, hit roll, and wound roll. Wow, we did not expect the wound roll modifier. Also good to have up your sleeve. If you're dealing with some annoying Eldar or... Yeah. Not bad. And it's a stratagem, so you'll only spend it when you deem it necessary. Pretty good, honestly. And you have a Relentless Momentum fight phase. 1 Astartes unit from Earth that has not been selected to fight this phase and is within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units. Until the end of the phase, when determining which models are eligible to fight, any models that are within 3 inches of 1 or more enemy models are eligible to fight. When resolving those attacks, such models can target one of those enemy units that is within 3 inches of them and within engagement range of their unit. Wow, okay, so that really opens up your big Crusader squads a bit more. Well, you know what? It even opens up your 10-man squads a bit more, because sometimes, just given positioning, all 10 guys can't fight. Pretty cool. And your Voice of Devotion. Your command phase, 1 Astartes infantry or mounted unit. You can change your right. Yeah, select the chorus of Relentless Hate, Rite of the Perfivid Wrath, or chant of Deathless Devotion litany. Until the end of the battle round, that litany is active instead. Yeah, okay, instead of the other litany. So that's your flexible your flexible alteration, but it's set in your command phase, and the litanies are set when? The start of the battle round. Okay, so you can go defensive, and then when it's your turn, you can change one to offense mode, or vice versa. That's pretty cool. That's not bad. I can't say how it stacks against the index detachment because I'm just not familiar with their toolkit. But I don't think this is bad. I think there's enough here to have a fun, fluffy kind of style of army that should have some validity. Shoot, I'm all out of nog. Oh well. Alright, let's paint for a bit more, then we'll wrap up the stream because it is... The festive evening is approaching. Right, we're looking at Gray Seer. Eric Brandenburg says all Eldar are annoying. Well, as an Eldar fan, I disagree. No, I do agree. I think their rules can be very annoying. I'm not especially fond of dice swapping mechanics, which I think only exacerbate how annoying Eldar typically are characterized. I feel like dice swapping should only be for Tzeentch. Maybe in few sparing scenarios, maybe like a Farseer could do a dice swap on one dice, you know, one dice per round or something. Or just pertaining to his unit. I feel like that could work in a kind of tasteful way. But army-wide dice swapping and abusing things like dev wounds just feels bad in my opinion. Damn, this guy's armor is different. Yeah, he's got this ribbed armor padding all the way up his torso. So he'll be minimally purple. Interesting. Did not consider that. Before I continue, let me check the GW paint standard, the Neophyte hybrids on the store. Let me enhance here. Well, I guess you guys can't see what I'm enhancing. Nope, they are painting it the way I thought they would. Maybe I can just preview it. Right, so we're looking at all this rib section. It's all the ribbed material all the way up his torso, as opposed to the normal guys who have this sort of shoulder and breast section. That's all, I don't know what that is, flak armor or a different material anyways. For me, for the cult of the smiling shadow, it'd be purple. Yeah. So we'll paint this padded stuff all the way through. And you get so used to painting Marines, which are relatively much more uniform, and even though you're cutting the models off the sprue and putting them together, you don't notice those differences on the various cult members. It does add character, though. I'll give it that. Pollux G, welcome to the stream, says Merry Grotmas, everyone. Hail to Pollux G. Merry Grotmas, Merry Christmas to you as well. Just getting a quick hobby hang stream in. Sharing some of that festive spirit. Though, between you and me, I wish I had more of this holiday nog. Such a travesty. Yeah, we're gonna paint his kilt purple. So I don't think I have to be too neat. We'll paint that white. But how do they paint his backpack? That's the real question. Oh, it's just random gadgets and gadgets on like a tactical harness. Okay. That is what it is. Fredder says, I've been using some of your videos and this Pinterest picture for ideas and inspirations. Oh, really? This is with regard to your sword? Or did I miss a previous message? Fightovicker says, rumor has it these Space Wolves are supposed to be getting a refresh soon. New Rune Priest and characters. Yeah, it makes the sense. Look, Blood Angels, Dark Angels, and Space Wolves. So, well, I guess Black Templars were first. And those are the 4 special Snowflake chapters done. And then the Black Templars did get their supplement, right? No, they didn't. I honestly can't remember. I don't think they did. You tell me, chat. Did the Black Templars get their Codex supplement in 10th edition? I don't think they did. I think I'm thinking of 9th edition. But in any case, yeah, the Space Wolves are due, right? Everyone else got their bit of attention this edition. And the Black Templars kind of debuted with all of their support to kind of give them that status. That similar snowflake status. think we're ready for some black contrast. Icarus says, I'd consider the Death Watch a special snowflake chapter myself. I think they are, or I used to, Icarus. I used to think the Death Watch were the fourth component of the, special snowflakes chapters. But after GW poo-pooed all over them this edition, I get the feeling in GW's eyes, Black Templars are the special snowflake chapter that has their 60 millimeter special leader character, just like the Dark Angels, right? Their big centerpiece leader character. It's just a gut intuition. I just feel like GW sees them as more in that perspective of the special snowflake relative to Deathwatch. I do think Deathwatch are better suited for it personally. Black Templars, its 40k is like kind of burdened by its legacy. But an example of this is Black Templar just overlapping so heavily in theme with the Dark Angels. So you have these two special kind of chapters that are just overlapping in themes so heavily. Whereas Deathwatch would feel completely different. It would feel like a bunch of specialist veterans from all different chapters. It kind of lets everyone kind of flex into them a little bit, Well, because all the chapters could be represented. Okay, let's get some Black Templar contrast. Speaking of Black Templars. No, actually, it's the Black Legion is what we're looking at. Black Legion contrast. Shredder says, I like the cobalt blue shoulder pad on one of the models you did. That struck and has stuck with me. I'm a super beginner. Glazing is even new to me. No problem, Shredder. No problem. Look, welcome to the hobby if you're a beginner. There's lots to learn and it's super rewarding. The cobalt blue shoulder pads I did on, if it's one of my Firekeeper shoulder pads, where I make one of the trims blue, if that's what you're referring to, I also like the result of that look. It's a blend of, which colors? Stegodon scale green, and you pick a bright pop blue that you want to contrast and blend from one to the other. I usually use turquoise because it's very like an electric blue, so you get some good range on your contrast, or rather on your blend. See, because GW named their contrast paints, it makes it harder to communicate when I just want to talk about contrast as it relates to color theory. Yeah, I mean, glazing isn't especially fancy either. It's like, the crudest way you could explain it would be, it's kind of just applying paint thinly across a surface. And you're trying to apply that paint evenly across the surface, whereas with a wash, it kind of tends to sit in the recesses. I think it comes down to surface tension. Icarus says, I honestly think the Death Watch are a more interesting take on an idea like Grey Knights, a specialist chapter created for the Inquisition with the idea of hunting a specific foe. Yeah, I agree. I think the Grey Knights, like, I like the idea of space paladins a lot. You know, these guys who are holy, well, They're psychic, so they're not holy, or they're not manifesting emperor energy, let's say. But in theme, they are space paladins, right? Psychic space paladins, we can say. But I do wish they were more formulated and structured like the Death Watch. But you can't, because Psychers are so rare, even in the Marines. Like, even in the Space Marines, they're rare. So that's what I mean, like, 40k is... it has so much baggage, it's hard for it to do what would be logical. Because you want to respect that baggage. And, like, generally, my adage is something along the lines of you gotta respect the hobby efforts of people and respect the lore and all this kind of stuff, so I do think it should be adhered to, but I think there are some cases where a retcon or two would, well, I don't think it would hurt, let's say. Yeah, we're gonna make these pads purple on his boots. I think that's the move. It'll be armor color, whatever the armor color is. Nagaroth Knight. Fredder says, sick, Amazon just came now with my new magnifying lamp. Ah, very cool. For maximum precision. I don't have a magnifying lamp myself. But I think there would be some cases where it would be very handy. Such as painting faces, I think it'd be very useful for. See, and once we apply the contrast, it's like we just never painted it at all. Amazing. Kind of beside myself, honestly, with how that works. Maybe we should have just left it as black primer. Damn, this is some wholesome music, I'll tell you what. What are your thoughts, guys, about this visor that he has? Like, I'm thinking his headlamp color will be probably an orange or a red, to denote the heavy weapon user. Or I've made the auto guns and shotgun guys have blue lamps, and the special weapon guys will have green lamps. Sort of a bit of a color coding. A little bit of a... I like having those signifiers in place for my opponent more than myself. Kind of helps things be a bit easier to identify. Icarus says, supposedly, my Zerketh Mini got delivered today. I'm at work, but I really liked that Mini even if I'm not into AOS. I want to keep it in my back pocket in case I take the plunge into SOD. Which, yeah, anyways. I love the Zarketh Mini more than the generic Chaos Sorcerer in that range. I'll have to take a look at what that mini looks like, Icarus. Shy Onion says, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you as well, Shy Onion. And welcome to the stream. Welcome to this holiday hobby hang. Zarketh. What is a Zarketh? Seems GW doesn't know what a Zarketh is either. What if I just search Keth? Well, I guess it wasn't meant to be. Oh, that's a lot of contrast just pooling in there. Let's get rid of that. Shy Onion says, how many Krieg boxes do you think they're going to sell? Apollox G says, all of them? I agree. They're going to sell out of Krieg. Well, they sell out of most things, which is their stated goal. This is what I think the CFO said, or the CEO said in an interview. The goal is to always sell out, which is basically also another way of saying the goal is to not have enough for everybody who wants it. Amazing. But that is where we find ourselves. Yeah, Krieg will sell like hotcakes. Everyone loves Krieg. It's a super popular range from the Forge World website, right? Which they stopped producing so they could produce again in plastic. Which is better, admittedly. I do prefer working in plastic than resin. I think it's a bit friendlier in basically every use case. Conversions, painting, assembling, all that stuff. I wonder if we can take some of this gray, mix it with our London gray, get a lighter variant, and maybe we can use this color to do some pre-shading on these pantaloons. Yeah, look at that. There's some nice areas where the light would catch. And you leave some other areas in shadow, and that's looking pretty good. Okay, we're coming up on an hour 30, guys. after these sleeves, I swear we're gonna wrap things up. It has been preordained. It is beyond my control. So we're gonna paint up these sleeves, and we're gonna do the lighter color, and that'll be it. Again, I'll shamelessly plug my own content. I made a holiday, well, not a holiday themed battle report, but I guess, in a sense, for the holiday season, I did something special in that I don't do battle reports regularly. So that has been made, and you can check it out on the channel. I think it's a rather wholesome piece of 40k content. So in that regard, it's perfect for the holiday season. Oh, this is an awesome Animal Crossing track. I'm almost certain of it. You can tell because of that twang. Beyond that bat rep for content over the holidays, not too much is planned. I might do another stream before the new year, maybe. It'll be tight though. I don't want to say for sure. I do have in the books another Grimdark Therapy scheduled with Outer Circle and Northern Exile. If that goes live, or gets published rather, I'll be sure to make a community post. But barring that, not too much on the holiday season, I'm afraid. Strider says, have you heard of Station Forge minis? I've heard of them, but I'm not too familiar. And Shy Onion says, the only two ways I think I would be interested in Guard would be Krieg or some heavily kit-bashed army like Swamp Rat Miniatures Orc Guard. Yeah, the Orc Guard army is pretty cool. Just a whole bunch of grots and orcs cosplaying as Imperial Guard. Okay, guys. Well, that is my hobby time consumed for this holiday hang stream. This is where we're at. Kind of a boring end result. We didn't have any of our colors in place, but the foundations are there, right? Next time, maybe this will be a two-parter. I don't know. I feel like the weapon could be a stream on its own, really. Look at this thing. Amazing. Anyways, guys. Thanks to everyone who made it to the end of the stream. You guys are the real hobby heroes. Thanks to everyone who joined me and shared in the hobby camaraderie. And engaged with the stream, you know, with your chats, your likes, subscribes, all that stuff. It's all very much appreciated. And with that, I think we're ready to wrap up. Thanks again for tuning in, and Merry Christmas. And